And our face is this beautiful mask that allows us to be all these different people, all these different places, and really time travel. So it's just, I love the facial cartography and the face mapping because we're able to start to decode some of these messages, some of the wrinkles, some of the inflammation, some of the dark circles, the pimples, the rashes, psoriasis, and say, oh, this means this, and it's in the area of intestines. Intestines are in the upper cheeks. This is about processing. It's deep discernment of what to keep, what to let go of, what's impure, what's pure.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance? This is the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. And Heather and I started out as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. And we were just like, let's start a podcast. And here we are. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success. Heather.
Wait. Before you introduce our guest, why does it sound like a scary movie soundtrack right now?
That's our guest. That's our guest having drilling. She's sitting in a dentist office right now, getting a root canal while interviewing with us.
I'm the worst.
Hey, who is that?
Do I mute? Should I just mute?
Hey.
No, I'll mute your track while you're not
Mute
speaking. I'll mute your track. We're doing multi-track. Totally fine.
Okay, Alan, introduce our guest, please. Who's with us?
Our guest, who I'm fangirling over, is Julie Civiello Polier. She and creative success, in her words, come from many, many different formats, and we're sharing something. Oh no, those were Heather's words.
Those were my words.
Heather
I wrote
this
the
in
intro.
That sounds good.
All right.
Sounds really
You can
good.
take
Creative
it, Julie.
success comes in many different formats, and we're sharing something totally new on the podcast today. So, Julie is literally the aesthetician.
Hard for you to say.
These are words. These are letters that string words and
He's a
make
dude.
sentences. I'll get it.
It
He's like,
just
"What's an
means I
esthetician?"
give facials. Well, so many people don't know. They're like, oh, what's that? Do you do surgery? Oh, what's that? Do you print on socks? Like, they have no idea.
Okay, well, aesthetician to the stars. I'm going to call it an aesthetician, like a mathematician.
No.
That's what's going through my head. Julie's a licensed. She's a lion. Blah, blah, blah. Julie is a licensed aesthetician specializing in Gua Sha and reflexology, a Reiki master, an intuitive guide, and a celebrity facialist. So she can turn her face into any other celebrity. It's incredible. She also specializes in facial mapping because our skin is a message board for everything that is going on inside of us. It is also our largest organ, wink, wink. Our faces are a map of the whole body, all of our organs, and their corresponding emotions. So in 2020, Julie launched LINEA, a holistic Gua Sha beauty kit designed to educate and empower people to connect with their inner and outer bodies. Julie has worked with top brands, True Botanicals, KORA Organics, and Jenni Kayne. Her work has been featured in Vogue and Conde Nast, just to name a couple, and she has a brand new book out called Gua Sha and Crystal Massage Techniques for Healthy, Clear, and Glowing Skin, which, my God, I wish you all could see her because she's got glowing skin.
I need
Julie,
it.
welcome to the motherfucking podcast.
Thank you so much, Alan. That was a wonderful
Wow,
introduction.
it's wonderful. She
Heather,
is
thank
so
you.
much nicer than I am. Like wonderful? Is that the word we would use? The man can't I can't either.
I really enjoyed it.
Aesthetician.
Julie did not know what she was getting herself into,
Most people don't.
but it's been a little baptism by fire in the last 10 minutes. So, Julie, I am so excited to have you here. I
Thank you so much. I am too.
fangirled so hard. And I said this right before we actually started recording, but, I'm in my late 40s and your face does things you're not prepared for it to do. And one of my clients who is an energy worker found you on Instagram. She started sending me your stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I love all of this. And I said, let's ask her to be on the show. And so here you are. And I'm super glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to your friend who works with energy.
Natalie.
So-
Shout out to Natalie.
Shout out, Nat. Hey, Nat. I don't know who Nat is. And in the intro, you were saying that people don't know what an esthetician is. So did I say that right?
It's true.
So
You did.
It's not making socks. printing socks for stars. So what is an esthetician?
An esthetician is licensed by the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. And usually an esthetician gives facials. Maybe they do lashes, maybe they do brows, waxing, maybe they do nails, but esthetician usually means aesthetics facials.
And then what is Gua Sha? Asking for a friend.
Right, of course. Gua Sha is thousands of years old. We think that it hails from Southeast Asia, and it's still very much practiced, mostly through the family lineage. So grandmothers will often use Gua Sha, and either it's a stone made out of crystal, although traditionally it was more like soup spoons, animal bones, coins, and it's used actually quite intensely on the body. And it's a scraping method. And what it does is it activates the circulatory system, because in traditional Chinese medicine, qi, or life force energy, is in the blood. It lives in the blood, and the focus is on the blood. And so the point of it was to activate the circulation with these like kind of intense, deep pressured massage to pull the toxins up and out of the blood. And so it would aim to bruise on the body. And it's very effective for colds, for flus, for fevers, because it's pulling all of that toxin to the surface. And our skin, like you said, is the largest organ in our body.
Wink, wink.
And it, yeah, wink, gold stars. so
I just like the word organ.
Usually, you what?
I just like the word organ.
So do I. I mean, I could talk about it day and night for days and nights without sleeping. It's like one of the most exciting topics. But it's like usually our quickest exit point, you know? And it's like you think about these pimples or these rashes coming up and out of the pores, it's the quickest exit. This way, our cells, our tissues, our organs, our systems are not having to deal with it in the same way where the skin is just like, get out.
Tissue.
It's not turning into a bacterial infection or a viral or fungal infection or cancer or whatever. It's just like the skin is like out, 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 out. And so it's such a beautiful gift. It's such a beautiful service.
It is, and it's responsive. It's like the first line of defense for everything. But I want to back up because maybe you did just fall into it. I was going to say, one does not simply fall into the reflexology and the Gua Sha and the massage and the Reiki and whatnot. Or maybe you did, though, because you could have passed it down from your grandmother. So what's that story then, getting into this and finding a sense of purpose and belonging in this line of work?
Great question. My grandmother did not teach me this. She was Irish.
Appreciate that clarification.
I'm white. I'm white, and I, have such reverence for these teachings in traditional Chinese medicine as well as in Ayurveda. And I was going to acupuncture with my mother. I was raised by a single mother in Maine, which back then going to acupuncture was like going to witchcraft appointments. So it was not common. It was not trendy. It was pretty harshly judged. And it was such a beautiful, eye-opening experience for me, because I learned, we can tend to everything going on in our body, in our emotional body, in all these different ways. It doesn't have to be through, going into the pediatrician office. They put on the stethoscope, they listen to your heart. They're like, let me stick this wood down your tongue.
Your doctor talks like my doctor. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, welcome, Alan. Welcome to your doctor appointment.
No.
Julie, you're a good sport.
Hey, she started it.
So beautiful early introduction to just this subtle body experience, and she would do muscle testing. She'd put these little vials in my hands, and then she'd move my arms up and down, and I'd be like, what are you doing? And it was such an incrediable learning, and I would just ask her so many questions. So that was like the beginning of my education. I was an actress, since elementary school into 25, 26 years old. And so I was coming home from my best audition that I'd ever had and got rear-ended in a car, was so horribly injured that I was like, just hammering away.
They're busy back there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I was on bed rest for about 3 months. They told me I needed spinal surgery, cervical spinal surgery, and I would need, metal rods possibly put in, or pins, and to prop up the herniated discs. And I was just like, that's crazy. I would never do that. You can't cut into my body, put metal in my spine. How dare you? And so I was like, okay, there's got to be other ways. And so I got into all kinds of different types of meditation in a very serious way, where I had been exposed to meditation for many, many years and practiced. However, I didn't have a daily practice. It wasn't something I was very committed to in a consistent way. And then this felt like, I needed to create a treatment plan for myself. And so I was doing meditation every day and physical therapy several times a week. And within 9 months, I healed everything.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like fully holistically.
Yes.
So,
well, and physical therapy, I think runs in a bit of holistic arena as well as medical, Western medicine.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is the chance that you had no choice but to embrace was this terrible car accident. And in healing yourself, it led you down this clearly intentional life path that you did not know you were headed towards.
It was one of the best gifts of all time. I think I could have received it in a different way.
That would have been nice.
However, it's been a very actful, very effortful at times choice of mine to really glean everything from any experience that somebody might be like, that's horrific. And I'm like, actually, so much great came out of it. So I don't know if it was really a horrific event. It was painful.
Yeah.
But so much good came out of it. And I got to know myself in a very, very rich way.
So that's interesting, because a lot of people, when they get into meditation, it just becomes something more for their mind, which then has, unconscious, unintentional effects on their body. But you went so far beyond that into figuring out, like going Reiki and talking about energy and the facial mapping as well, which I want to ask about, because all of this, I guess, was it just sort of like we won't say a black hole, a white hole of light and energy that you fell into that was like, oh, this is great, I'm going to keep going? Or did chance opportunities to start to present themselves when you were becoming more receptive to this side of or part of the universe?
It was very dark. It was a dark hole. And I think, I was pretty depressed. I was taking painkillers from the couple of spinal experts that I was seeing. I did get 2 epidurals, which were so brutal in my experience. And so I really feel the meditation was such a grounding cord, or the access to the white hole that you mentioned, of like, okay, how can we start to shift? How can we start to have a different relationship to the pain? And that the pain isn't really me. I'm not pain. I'm not a pained, broken, unfixable person. My body's not broken. I'm not unfixable or unhealable. And, how can we start to shift the mind and the relationship to this visitor that is the event, that is the pain, that is like the body, like really going through this experience, and start to just see it all as like, okay, we can just dance. We can dance together. We can rewrite the story about this. Because I was like very deeply in a story of like, victim, I'm, this happened to me. My life was snatched away. I'm never going to act again. I'm not going to be able to dance at my wedding. And then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. If I have to dance in a wheelchair at my wedding, it'll be great. I danced my tush off.
There you go. Yeah, that is so powerful, this self-healing. You were not already a licensed esthetician when this happened, right?
Was not at all. no.
So there were a lot of routes you could go. You had done a lot of different things with holistic healing for healing yourself, and you had this background. Obviously, Chance first met you when your mom took you to an acupuncturist, right? Like there's some really cool things. So you had sort of that spiritual foundation there. What about it? What about doing facials and working on skin spoke to you? How did you end up there?
I was in a meditation circle with a few friends, and one of them was an esthetician, and she was such a great teacher of mine, and I learned so much from her. And she was like, why don't you learn to give facials? And I had a lot of judgment about the beauty industry at the time, and I had only had a few facials at the time, and they weren't great experiences. It was a lot of like, it kind of felt like going to a dental hygienist. That had been my experience of like, you're not flossing, you're not brushing correctly. And so it was a lot of that with my skin. They're like, oh my
doctors.
God.
I think you're going to the same doctor for everything.
I was like,
for everything.
it's at the dentist you're at right now. Yeah.
Let me stick this wooden thing on your tongue and you're not flossing.
It was so much of that. Just like, you take horrible care of your skin and your blackheads are out of control. And I was just like, gosh, I didn't come in here to pay you to like beat me up in every way, like physically. Like I would leave looking worse. I would leave looking like a hive of bees had just attacked and stung my face all over. And then I would leave feeling like I have horrible skin. And so when she asked me, she's like, you'd be great at giving facials. I'm like, not in a million years would I do that. And she's like, let me give you a facial. Let me show you what it could be. And it was such a beautiful experience and such a different event where I just felt like, oh my gosh, this could be anything.
Wow.
And so I decided to go to esthetician school. I had already been practicing Reiki healing because I wanted to learn how to just activate my hands and heal my spinal injuries. And I had been doing a few other things, some craniosacral workshops, some polarity workshops. And I had met 16 years ago, another teacher who was talking about facial mapping and facial reading and diagnosis way before anybody else was. So I had been kind of just collecting wisdom, collecting experience, getting to know possibilities within and around the body and what's possible. And there's so many beautiful interviews with, for example, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who also had major spinal injuries, was told that he would never walk again. He needed surgery and steel rods and plates put in. And he was just like, let's see what happens if I don't do that. He's walking around.
I love his tea.
Is it good?
His iced tea,
Lipton's
yeah.
tea?
Yeah, really good iced tea.
See, it never stops. It never ever stops.
It.
Yes, it's great.
I love it. So it just became such a fabulous exploration of, what's possible and how, like you were saying, Alan, with the mind and with meditation, there's all of these wonderful benefits on the subconscious that we don't even know what's possible when we're starting to rewrite the programming, repattern the neural pathways. And then the body starts changing in incredible ways. And when we talk about aging, so many of us are really resigned to it and subscribed to it. And then it's reinforced, through ads, through the beauty industry, through your doctors saying all the things, you really got to start watching out for, blah, blah, blah. And it's like so many signposts, whether it's a billboard or a magazine ad or an Instagram ad about aging is, really taught to us and we really buy into as like a one-way track. Like you're just going one way. Mm-hmm. And I'm so curious about that because I don't feel it's linear at all. Like there are times when I look like I've aged 10 years overnight. And often I notice like, oh, it's emotional. This is what's going on.
Oh.
Or, there's times when I'm like, God, I look great. What's happening? Why do I look like I have no more wrinkles on my forehead? I have no wrinkle. Like what happened? So it has
the facial mapping side of this, is that literally like forehead is liver and upper lip is stomach and Like that.
You got upper lip, the upper lip perfectly. Forehead is colon, a little bit of kidneys, sometimes
Is that where the
bladder.
term shithead comes from?
Stop
Could
it.
be.
We do
Could be.
have, Julie gave us a face map, a facial map. We'll share it with you guys.
So when like, I guess what you were just saying, the reason I bring that up is what you're saying. It was like, oh, I'm feeling great, or I'm looking good, or I look like I've aged 10 years overnight. Is it because the rest of your body's trying to tell you something? And so you're looking at like, oh, I look like I've aged overnight. So my underbags, my kidneys are not doing well. I need more water.
Yes. And sometimes, it's, or really all the time, I can safely say all the time, it's so multi-layered because we are multi-layered. We're multi-dimensional, very complex. So I would love to just say to everybody who has under eye circles, drink more water and do it in slow, small sips. Tomorrow, you're going to wake up, no circles. It's, there's so many things going on, whether it's diet, whether it's lack of sleep, whether it's major grief and loss, whether, it's you just had a run in with, somebody you haven't seen in 10 years and you're like, oh my God, I had the biggest crush on you and here you are and I'm telling you the truth now. And they're like, well, can I take you out for coffee? And you're like, oh my God, what's happening? What is life? There's so many things that we interact with on a daily basis that really transforms our face or notice like we only make certain expressions when we're in the company of certain people.
Oh.
And our face is this beautiful mask that allows us to be all these different people, all these different places, and really time travel in a lot of different ways. So it's just, I love the facial cartography and the face mapping because we're able to start to decode some of these messages, some of the wrinkles, some of the inflammation, some of the dark circles, the pimples, the rashes, psoriasis, and say, oh, this means this, and it's in the area of intestines. Intestines are on the upper cheeks. This is about processing. It's deep discernment of what to keep, what to let go of, what's impure, what's pure. And so we're like, oh, God, my body's really working for me. This is great.
I'm looking at
obsessed.
So there's a difference between ascending colon and descending colon.
Yes. Okay, so can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, please.
And then I want to hear your question.
I want to talk about shit. That's
so excited. Well, so do I, because it's such a reveal, right? It's such an emotional reveal. And there's that book, like, What is Your Poop Telling You?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a gorgeous, hopefully daily check-in of like, how are we? How's our diet? How's our emotional life? Like, are we able to let go? Or are we constipated and holding on to all of this toxic waste that we really need to be letting go of and cleaning out? And so ascending colon, like the whole colon is built in the same way that we deal with things, that we experience life. It has to come up. It has to be processed in the transverse colon. And then it has to descend. It has to be excreted and let go of so completely. And there's a lot of grief in the process of letting go.
Yes.
It's like, this is done. This is not coming back. We are fully cutting cords. We are fully letting go.
Okay, so your specialty is the face. Alan wants to talk about shit, but that makes me think. No, seriously, I know a number of people who do enemas like often, and I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to tap into, is exactly what you're saying, is that release, that surrender. I don't know.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's a rush through the process.
Yeah.
Enemas or colonics to get that relief and just have like the process be handled for them.
Yeah.
Other times it's so beneficial. It's so needed. Like, the body does need support. We are inundated with information and chemicals and food and toxic relationships and inspiring conversations. There's so much that we're digesting. There's so much we're processing. And the visual stimuli is like something like what, 70-something% of the brain.
Wow.
Is that well? And this is there's no joke here. The reason I brought it up is because the T-zone, right? The oiliest zone of your face, the forehead down to the nose, retina, more prone to breaking out. So is that like, I guess if your forehead is breaking out, that means that you're not eating right because your intestines are telling you, like, fuck you, I'm trying to get this literal shit out, and it's coming out on your face and then like down to your nose and whatnot, right?
That's exactly correct.
Score.
The T zone, however, here is liver, right in between the brows, just below third eye. So right where the brows come together, right in the middle above the bridge of the nose is liver. So you'll see like the frown lines, that is about relationship to liver, which emotionally, so all of the organs in traditional Chinese medicine are correlated, connected with a couple of different emotions. The major one for liver is anger. So when we think about alcoholics, they tend to be in deep relationship with anger, and it's
Yeah.
either overexpressed or underdeveloped.
Oh.
And many children of alcoholic or addictive or narcissistic parents will have these lines. And sometimes there's a person who has one deeper on one side, like closer to the right eyebrow, is relationship to mother. The right side of our face is our mother's influence. You can remember that with mother's always right.
Oh.
Hey, hey, hey.
Left side is our father's influence, and it's who we are when no one's watching. It's our inner essence. And if you notice, we tend to look at people with our right eye to their right eye because this is our external experience. It's who we are to the world. It's who we are in our social circles, our family, our vocation, career, our philanthropic lives. If you start looking at people with left eye to left eye, it's so naked. It's so heart opening. And you may notice if you can sustain it, the compassion really starts to grow in the space between you, and it softens everybody.
Huh.
You have me really questioning. I'm like looking, I'm like, which eye am I looking out
I know.
of? But I
But-
feel like I'm looking out of my left eye. Like when I ask myself that question, my left eye feels like it's working harder, which is crazy. Okay, hold on. This is all really cool.
But also
I
on
know, I just
Zoom,
said so much.
where our picture is mirrored. So I'm looking at your right side, but I think it's your left side.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I always ask people, I'm like, can you touch your right
Touch your right
side? So I
side.
know
Yeah.
which
No, it's like it
side
really
is.
is my left. I have to do that too. Like put your hands out. Like
I
which
do-
side
I
makes
do
an
as
L?
Yes. Oh, so one more quick thing about that. Face, right side is mother's influence, left side is father's influence. After the lower lip, it switches.
Oh.
And there's a cross-lateral relationship. So you think about the brain, how it's in relationship with the opposite side of the body.
Yes.
So that's just an easy way to remember, because people get so confused because they're going to yoga classes, which is an Ayurvedic lineage, and they're like, no, my teacher always tells me that right side is masculine and left side is feminine. I'm like, still true.
Still true. Different part of the
So for all the people getting confused right now, you might be getting more confused.
read
and
the
Julie
book.
loves it. No. What I think is so cool and so fascinating is, most people who become an esthetician, they don't take this where you've taken this. And what I heard you say is when you had that lovely experience, as opposed to all of the icky ones before that, and you thought, there are so many things I can do with this. That is embracing chance in a way that I don't think we talk about very often. Is I can take this thing that everyone knows exactly what it is and do it so differently. Was that conscious? And if it was conscious,
Yes.
how did you then build it? I mean, you really have a little bitty empire, or maybe a big empire on this, which is cool. I know you're cracking up, but you have a huge celebrity client list. You have a huge social media following, and that doesn't happen by accident.
Oh, that is so kind. And it's really lovely to hear, because I don't think I spend much time being like, you built this, you're doing good.
You should celebrate the fuck out of that.
Thank you so much. It was a conscious choice to include a bunch of different wisdom and modalities. Something I've always loved doing is mixing modalities. It's something I've really been criticized heavily for on social media, mostly because I think there is, a lot of devotion to holding the lineage as it is and not, quote unquote, diluting it with other information or mixing lineages. And I respect that. I really hear that. And I feel, we are such complex beings and we feel joy, grief, excitement all at once. And why can't we, bring about all of our tools all at once for whatever is appropriate in that moment? I don't do very well, even though I'm constantly reminding our son, one thing at a time, one thing at a time, when he's trying to play and eat and there's like cars going over the pancakes and the egg. And I'm just like, one thing at a time. I'm not great at doing one thing at a time because there's so much to learn. There's so much to experience. And so it was really experimenting constantly in the treatment room, in teaching groups, in workshops of, would this work well together? Would these, two wisdoms play well together? Is this too much information for people? Are people having, a healing crisis, meaning they kind of come down with fatigue or a flu after a treatment session because so much was moved, so much was reorganized. So I did play with like the length of the session, how many modalities I'd fit in, what was appropriate. And then I just started including prayer of like, may this be easy and gentle for this person. We don't have to learn through friction. We don't have to learn through shock. We don't have to learn through pressure and push. And sometimes I get a little like, I love that the biohacking thing is such a trend and it's turning so many people onto wellness. However, like, why do we have to hack our own systems? Why do we have to kind of shock all of our systems into a wellness ritual? It's just a question. I have no answers.
Well, no, it's a really good question in that you're trying to present this, I guess, a way of healing and a way of being self-aware that isn't, I guess, it isn't well adopted. It's not like... Right. It's not adopted by people because it's like, I'm just going to go, I'm feeling sick. I'm just going to go take a Z-Pack and then I'll be fine again. Right.
Yes.
So,
and in the beauty industry, it's more extreme. I find people want to bleed. People want to be cut into. People want to be, lasered and shocked with microcurrent.
See immediate results that way.
They want to feel like something's happening
because they think it has to be hard, which is what you said.
Yeah.
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 So then when you're facing that sort of challenge, right? And you're in LA, you've got this great client list, and LA is known well and not so well as being like a very beauty driven place in the country and whatnot. And for many different reasons. But like, are you having to constantly sort of overcome challenges in educating people like this, or having people see the benefit of this type of treatment? Or is it one of those things where now, because of referrals that you've just got this, like you put out a class and in 10 seconds it's sold out, right?
From your lips to God's ears. I don't think I've ever really struggled with it in the moment. I'll chat with a couple of other estheticians and be like, can you believe this?
They sound like your doctor.
Can you believe this? Can't believe this. Bite down. So I think, I don't really hold a lot of judgment about what other people want to do. So I have clients who get all the things done. Lip filler, Botox, surgeries, augmentation of all kinds. And it's their choice. It's their body. And that's great. And then I have people who come in every week because they don't want to get Botox. And I'm just like, wonderful. as long as you're choosing, that's all that really matters. If we're unconscious about some of these things, I think I try to focus my conversations more on like, just make sure that you're feeling empowered in the office. Because if you feel like you owe them something or like you're just on the hook to go every 3 months and they're telling you where to put it and how much, this is your body and you get to decide how many times you go into the office, where it goes, what you're trying to achieve. So this, in my hope for you, is a collaborative process and where you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel safe, and not like you're just at the mercy of this person or that person.
I love that. I think that is incredibly powerful. Make sure it's collaborative and make sure you're actually choosing it, not being directed into it, taking that responsibility and that intuitiveness in-house. Now, do you only support people in person? I mean, you have a lovely Instagram channel. You guys really are going to want to check it out. And I can see this in you now. To be honest, it's such a calm energy that I was a little surprised. You're kind of sassy, which fills my heart with joy. I see it because you can banter with Alan like the best of them, which is great.
I'm so boring. Don't even use me as a litmus test.
And you teach in these like 60-second snippets. So how, if we're not in LA, how can people experience what you're doing? And is that the face map? You talk. Tell me.
Yes, great question. And thank you, Heather. You're so kind. God, I could hang out with you guys every Friday. Just a little
Come on.
boost.
From your words to your mouth to God's ears. Your lips to God's ears.
Which is, if we could talk about lips for just a half sec, and then I'll answer your fabulous question, is it's heart tissue. That's why this skin is so different in color, in texture, in feeling than the rest of the skin on our face. When we're in embryo, our heads lift up off of our hearts, and the lip tissue remained.
Shut up. Really?
Heart tissue.
What?
So every time we're forming words and these beautiful songs and beautiful conversations are coming out of our mouths, it's being formed by heart tissue. It's passing through heart tissue.
I did not know that.
That's the coolest fucking thing I've learned all year. And I've learned a lot of cool things this
I
year.
was today years old when I learned you have a heart on your face.
And they look like a heart too, right?
It does.
Oh my God.
It does.
Okay.
So I am moving actually more and more out of one-on-one facial treatments in person into more education. So online courses or in-person courses or, virtual face readings. And a lot of that is inspired by, I really feel like we can be so much more in touch with ourselves by being active with it. So a lot of times a client would come in for a facial and they're closing their eyes and they're like, okay, fix me. And then they just lie down and they're participating in a way that is so beautiful and healing for them because their nervous system is shifting into a state, hopefully, of parasympathetic, the real regeneration, the real reset healing state. However, it's not a very active and engaged relationship at that point where they're not, learning to fish, so to speak. Alan, I'm waiting for you to jump in here with
right.
Scurvy, peacoats, sailors, swearing, something. Give me something.
You did it for him. You shut him up is what you did.
But of like really teaching this so that we can be empowered to do it and to feel what it's like to have this very, integrated, very empowered experience with our own hands, our own facial massage technique of like, I really feel like we can liberate so much of our challenge, our struggle, our limiting beliefs, our stories, which are really just boxes. Like stories are limiting. It's often not even the truth of what's really happening. And we could shift that and lift that out of our faces with like just this electrical, brilliant touch. Like how freaking amazing is that?
So amazing. And you do embodiment retreats also, I love the word retreat. I love the word embodiment. What the hell happens at an embodiment retreat?
And how do I get there?
And when can I sign up? Yeah.
Right?
I know. Okay, well, maybe we need a was a chance retreat.
Yes.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yes, we do. We do. I know so
Why do
many
I
of our
get
past
old
guests
and
who would be
Jewish?
like, yes, we could do it on a cruise ship with Lauren Ulankovich. Right. I see the whole thing coming together. I see it happening.
The retreat, how do we get there? And now all I want to do is just like
And what happens?
and lay down. Yeah, tell me what happens and
There's a lot of sitting
your
up,
exact
right?
address.
You don't get to lay
Okay.
down.
Oh,
Loser.
No. There's all kinds of, we shift states, we time travel. It's a lot of
quantum leap.
quantum healing, quantum leap, and it's a lot of very easy, simple, digestible techniques so that people can really start to feel what's happening. I mean, some of my favorite bits are like a bit of a embodiment and visualization meditation about like just the fingerprints and how that interacts with the tissue in our faces. Like there's the skin and then there's the fluids, which is like blood, right? The blood says so much about who we are, what's beneficial for us to eat, our characteristics, our tendencies, our personality traits. There's a whole region in Japan where they pair people. They marry people based on blood type.
You're talking about? Oh, I was going to say a blood type because so I'm A negative.
Ooh.
So tell me more. I want to know
Yes.
what A negative means because I can eat Bojangles, Southern fried chicken all day long.
Oh, interesting.
But you
Love it.
maybe
and you don't have
shouldn't.
any negative effects from it?
Well, now that I'm in my early 40s, I
And why do you attach age to it?
because I would eat it 8 times a week in college, and
Yes.
now maybe I'm out of practice, but 3 times a week, and my tummy's like, not so much.
Or maybe you overdid it with the 8 times a week and your body's like, get this shit away from us.
Literally.
It sounds really good though.
Oh my
Bojangles
God.
fried chicken.
Yeah.
He's obsessed.
It's so
He's
good.
obsessed.
I fly
So
through
does
Charlotte
chicken-
sometimes just to because they have a Bojangles in the airport. I will go there.
He
Just
goes there and he just comes back. He doesn't leave the
pretty
airport.
much.
No. So how often do you do the embodiment retreats?
These days, there's only been one this year. Hopefully there'll be
Are they in
another
person
one.
or are they virtual?
In person.
Yes.
Although, hey, we could do a virtual one. I didn't even think of that.
There you
I
go.
want to come in person.
I'm
Creative-
still
creative
discovering
chance.
the internet. I'm like still being
That's so
like,
hard to believe.
oh my God, that can be virtual.
Hey, pro tip: you don't have to type www in front of all your websites anymore.
God, it's going to save me 3 finger taps.
Save
Thank
those
you.
finger taps for your
Dot.
face.
4 taps.
Exactly.
www. dot. So what's the process, right? So there's a lot of sitting up. We didn't get past like what actually happens.
Well, and there is some conversation about blood type.
Oh, yeah,
because,
the blood type.
If we can go back to even forehead and the colon and everything, often these horizontal lines are a reveal about the body needing digestive enzymes because we're not able to extract the appropriate amount of nutrients. It's just kind of flushing through. So we need those enzymes to assist in the breakdown. And, Alan, I also think there's a lot more chemicals in food than when you were eating it 8 times a week.
True.
So there's so many more hormones. There's so many more antibiotics. There's so many more there's a lot more glyphosate everywhere.
Gesundheit.
And so that could also be a contributor of like, 3 times and I'm just not able to
That's a really interesting.
move it through
Yeah.
in a great way.
Food is
Kinda sits
processed
right
and made
here
differently
and-
now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so many layers, right? Of like, I'm always just curious. Again, no answers about it, but I am curious about like, what if it's not age? What if it's not? What if it's emotional state? What if you're talking about like, the psycho killer television show that you're really into
And it's stressing you
while
out.
you're eating?
Yeah.
Because,
Oh.
when we're digesting our meals, we're also digesting everything else. The visual stimuli, the conversation, the energy of the room, the energy of the person we're with, whatever else happened that
You
day.
just unlocked
I know.
parent drama.
Well, and it's interesting. So I'm certified in human design, and there is a whole section in your variables that teaches you how you should best digest, take in your food, but not just your food, your learning and your
Yes.
knowledge. And mine happens to be cold, like, and makes sense. Like, I don't eat hot food. I don't warm my stuff up to until it's going to burn my mouth. So I need to sit with my stuff, right? It needs to, but there are a lot of different cognitions, which is what that is.
What about
And
leftover pizza? Just eat it
Yes.
cold.
yeah, it's really cool. Do you
It's
know your
so
human
good.
design?
I do. I am a projector.
I knew that. Me too.
Yeah.
Wait, so go back to A negative. What should I eat? What does that tell me?
Sure. A lot of vegetables, a lot of fish, not meat. Like turkey is beneficial for you. That's
I
it.
do love turkey.
Turkey's really beneficial for you. The tryptophan is also wonderful. Just soother, calmer for the nervous system.
Oh,
But
man.
mostly fish, although not shellfish, sadly. So vegetables, bananas are not great for you.
I don't like bananas. That's interesting. So
There you go.
I went to Thailand once, and I was there for 3 weeks, and I came back. I ate mostly fish because that's most of what the diet is out there, and came
Yes.
back feeling so gut healthy
Yep.
after that.
That makes sense.
And I thought it was just
Yes.
like, lack of preservatives and other hormones and things as well.
I think that's a contributor. However, yeah, your perfect diet is fish, rice, vegetables.
Oh, I do love rice. I ate a lot of rice balls.
And things cooked, not so much raw all the time.
Yeah.
What about oneg? Because I'm oneg.
Meat. Meat,
I
meat,
don't
meat,
even
meat,
like
meat.
meat. Damn it.
Really? But you don't have to. That's the thing. It's just protein forward.
Okay.
I know quite a few O blood types who are vegan, but they eat differently than a vegan with A blood type.
Hmm. I mean, I don't dislike meat. I just don't eat a lot of it, and I don't crave it. That's so protein. Okay, that's cool.
But if you're not craving it, that's a good sign that your iron levels are probably really steady.
yes, I can't always tell as a female person who who menstruates still,
Yeah.
sort of on occasion. We're entering that peri-zone. I know.
Yeah.
Now
Tell
we
me
talk
more.
about everything on this
Tell
show.
me more.
Um,
Alan, you
I
should know.
always
do.
know, like, if I'm super craving,
Yes.
particularly steak or beef.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, there's
Yes.
my iron, and that's coming. You have mentioned now twice, and I've seen several videos, and I need you to explain it a little bit more because
Yes.
I'm obsessed with it. Time travel. In
Oh,
doing
sure.
this facial mapping, this self-facial massage, all of that, what are you meaning when you say that, and what does it do for people?
Okay, awesome. So we do this all the time. We time travel all the time. If we're thinking about something, a conversation that happened, and we're rehashing it out of like, oh, this was the perfect response. This is what I should have said. We're time traveling. We're kind of going back into the sensory experience of that conversation, of the fight, and being like, now I've got all the ammunition to say this, and now I'm articulating it this way, and now it's perfect. And we're doing that all the time, moving ahead of like, okay, I'm going to visualize my day. I'm going to walk into that meeting. I'm going to walk into that audition. I'm going to walk, into the shower, and it's going to feel like this, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to. So we're doing this all the time in our minds. And also in Reiki healing, there is an exercise called distance healing. And this can mean two things. One, it can just mean remote or virtual Reiki. And it can mean, traveling back to a time that was traumatic or, very influential, or we feel might need support in the rewriting. And we draw a circle. Circles represent a portal of energy, a vortex of energy, a way of moving through this current moment into the sensory experience of that time. So say at 16, you were sexually shamed because you were forward and you kissed someone and they were like, oh my God, ugh. And you're just like, oh, I did the wrong thing and now I'm misinterpreted and it's so humiliating. And so we go back to all of the sensory experiences, and we might even remember exactly what we were wearing, exactly what that person was wearing, where we were, what time of day. There was food in my teeth, like all the things. And we send that sweet version of ourselves all of the love, all of the compassion, all of the forgiveness, all of the freedom of like, it was just a moment in time. We learned something. We were brave. We took action. It's okay. This doesn't have to inform us in the way that it was. This doesn't have to be something that we're carrying and feeling burdened by, ashamed by, guilty about. Let's close that up and rewrite it with so much love and sweetness around it. So that's one way of time traveling. Another way of time traveling can be really simple of like, okay, I've left 10 minutes too late to get to this event on time. I am going to time travel there. I'm going to like kind of teleport there, still using my car. And this works every single time I do it, where I'm just like, every light's going to be green. The cars are going to part like Moses is parting the Red Sea. There's going to be a parking spot right out front. It's going to be a paid meter. I don't even have to do the whole credit card thing 8 times. And then I get to walk in and I'm actually 1 minute early. It works every time. So we can bend and stretch time all the time. We can do this.
That's simulation. First person simulation theory right there. Right?
Is it?
Yeah.
We're living in a simulation and you're controlling your own destiny.
Well, so,
Yeah.
right, we had a guest on, Sammy Moog, who's a visualization manifestation expert. And we learned that in 2022, the Nobel Prize for physicists went to physicists who have discovered that the universe does not locally exist. We experience it like a hologram. So that's why that kind of thing is possible, why you can bend time like that. But people are listening going, no fucking way. That's insane. Maybe you just got lucky. And I think the difference is you have to believe it. You can't like in the back of your mind go, oh, that probably won't work. You have to believe it.
Yeah. And let go. I'm not checking my phone I don't look at the clock in my car once during that drive.
Wow.
I turn on a great song. I enjoy it. I enjoy every part of it. If a red light comes, I'm like, good, great. I'll just dance it out. We're going to dance it out because time doesn't really exist in the way that we've built it up to be. And it still works. But that's the huge part of it. It's like just enjoy your drive. Enjoy your journey there as much as you can. And if you're starting to freak out and look at your phone like, I'll never make it in time, just be like, whoa, I hear you. I hear that voice that's freaking out. It's okay. You're going to get in the back seat. I am in the front seat. I'm driving. We are going to make it there with 1 minute to spare with the perfect parking spot.
That's fucking cool.
The folks who are listening to this cannot see you. Although, again, go to Instagram and follow Julie like immediately. You can do it while you're listening. Go right now. You are radiant. And it appears to me that you don't have any makeup on. That could be misleading. I don't think
I did put on Oleo Eoso. This is not an advertisement. Just lip balm.
A lip balm.
And
I'm a lip balm girl. Yeah.
And I did kind of, put it on cheeks too. But that's
and
it.
From this side of Squadcast where we're recording, you don't have a single wrinkle. That feels crazy. Well, when you crunch your face up, no, I'm curious what your personal facial routine is. I'm sure you have one, but it is difficult for those of us in a spiritual healing space to always do everything we practice, to practice what we preach all the time. But what is your routine?
That is a great question. And it is difficult. I think the basics of every day are really difficult to do. Getting enough food, getting enough water, getting enough sleep, getting enough inhales and exhales. It changes all the time. My rituals, my routines. I keep it really simple with skincare. It's usually because my skin tends to be dry, and I don't know if that's the Irish, Italian, English ancestry or what I'm eating. I live in a desert. Los Angeles is pretty dry.
Yes.
So because I'm dry, I really love a hyaluronic acid serum. Hyaluronic acid isn't really acid in the way that we think of it. It's not an exfoliant the way that AHA or BHA acids are, or glycolic acid, etc., or lactic acid. Hyaluronic acid is really hydrating. It's like a moisture magnet. So it's actually going to pull moisture from the air and drink it into the skin. However, it can be improperly used all the time if we don't layer something on top of the hyaluronic acid serum. It makes us more dehydrated. Okay. So we need to layer a facial oil on top, a moisturizer, a lotion on top, a balm on top to send that hyaluronic acid deeper into the layers of the skin.
Do you give yourself facial massages regularly?
All the time. All the time. I go in my mouth and massage that way to get the knots and the tissue, just have a little bit more of a freer
like squeezing
experience.
Your cheeks from the inside?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you forget your magnesium on the cruise that we are planning,
oh, man.
And, magnesium is such a great, bowel movement regulator. It really helps you become regular. It helps with sleep, helps with nervous system. But if you forget it while you're traveling, and many people get so constipated while traveling because the schedule's off, the food is different, you're like holding for like, oh, I hope my plane's not delayed. We get constipated and backed up. So if you forget your magnesium, you just reach right into the corners of your mouth. I like starting on the right because, again, the colon is represented around the mouth, and it's in the same shape, same direction as our actual colon down below. Up the right side, across the left, down the left. So you can massage that way on the outside of your skin if you're feeling constipated. Don't do it too much right now, you guys. I think we have a little bit of time left on the
go into the
podcast. Or you can read, no, because I have so many friends who've messaged me like Argentina and Thailand and, Iceland. And they're like, Julie, what do I do? I'm so constipated. I'm like, reach inside your mouth, go to the right corner, put a thumb on the outside, index finger on the inside, just loving circles. You don't have to go too hard. 3 to 5 times, make sure you're breathing, and then go to your left side. And then before you can even finish your left side, you're going to be running to the toilet.
No
Does
way.
that feel good? Yes, way.
Well, so, this is actually kind of comfortable.
Isn't it nice?
So we shouldn't be doing this when we don't want to go foof?
Yeah, stop.
When you
don't want to go poop, you should.
Do it when you need to go
when I need to go
but it's not easy to go.
Stop.
Foof.
Okay, so I wonder, now I'm dying to see your human design chart because I'm like, you said you do it all the time, but do you just sort of intuitively, this is what my face needs? Yeah.
Yeah, it's super intuitive, and everybody has that access. Whatever feels good, follow it. Just keep following it. If you're like, oh no, I'm not excited about that, then like explore around and be like, oh no, that feels so, just follow what feels really good.
So cool.
And you can't do it wrong. People are so freaked out about messing up their face because we've been taught, don't touch your face. You're full of bacteria. Your hands are filthy. Go wash your hands and then touch all over your face.
Wash them well.
Go wash your hands and then stick them in your mouth.
Is it important to put a moisturizer or an oil on your face before you massage it?
I do find that feels the most comfortable is having a little bit of slip, having a little bit, because if it's too dry and your fingers, lube it up.
Yeah. What about those of us? You dirty. What about those of us with a little bit of scruffy scruff? Does it matter?
Yeah. Honestly, it's better because then there's less ingrown hairs. The more movement, the better. Like we forget, we're taught all the time, like you want to stay young, agile, fluid, keep moving. Don't get still and stiff. So that's such a recommendation for people who are more mature age in numbers, aged years. But we don't do that for our faces. We're like, no, don't have an expression. I don't want to make a wrinkle, freeze. And again, there's nothing wrong. However, movement is so beneficial. It really keeps things healthy and moving. If our lymph is really stuck, this is our, trash excavator. our lymphatic system takes the toxins out of every single cell, cleanses them, and puts them back into the bloodstream or excretes forever and gone. And it's like, we don't want the muscles to get too tense, because then it's like bridges and dams, like really dams, not bridges. Bridges are beautiful connectors, but a dam where it's like, if the jaw is too tight, that is a dam, not letting any of the lymphatic fluid from the head, face, down past the jaw into these lymph nodes that are right above the clavicles, the collarbones, for all the cleansing and releasing. That's how we get sinus infections. That's how we get infections in our eye. That's how we get, colds. There's not the movement of release and cleansing and detoxing.
So what is your relationship? This is one of our lovely questions that we ask everybody. Your relationship with failure. And I also want to add to that too. And I guess leading into what is a relationship with failure, at what point, or have you in this quest to decide like, hey, I'm going to go outward and teach what I've figured out? What struggles have you had to overcome to get your following, to get your client list, and deal with the ups and downs of being, we'll put in air quotes, a public figure?
Oh, yeah. Really good question. I love failure. I mean, I really think of failure as like some of the richest opportunities I've ever experienced. Something I would love to model and teach our son, of like, that's a illusion. Failure is an illusion. Because I think many people, I'll tell you a quick little story that people find hilarious. I find it hilarious too. I've been hit by a car while inside a porta potty.
Oh, that's bad.
Horrible. Hilarious as well.
Good story. Anyway.
I went flying out of this porta potty. Again, they thought I broke my spine. And this was almost, by the way, I think a year to the date of the original car accident. And I was on my period, and,
the
stepfather-in-law
universe
caught me as I was like,
really thinks it
shorts around
needs
my
to
ankles.
beat you up to get your message across.
It's funny. I don't know if the universe thinks that. I think we think that. And because we think that, or hold that belief or opinion, or like, this is what I deserve.
Oh, yeah. It's not about
the universe
deserving.
is like, okay.
Yeah.
If that's how you want to learn.
Like, you're not paying attention to the easy ones. Let's go big.
You don't deserve to get hit in a porta potty.
How crazy
you don't want to
is that?
listen? Watch.
Maybe some part of me was like, I want to be so vulnerable. So
wow.
Anyhow, so many people were like, that is the lowest, craziest, that is like too dark. That's too dark comedy. And I was like, you know what? It was great. It was such an incredible experience, because everyone was like, she broke her spine, she broke her spine, she broke her spine. And I went deep inside, and I was just like, I'm walking again. I'm going to walk. No, it doesn't matter if I broke my spine or not. I will walk again, and I will do this, and I will go into another porta potty again. And I was like doing that like 10 minutes after this. I kind of came out of shock and was like being hosed down and whatever. But it was like, that was such an extreme example. But I was just like, it's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I wouldn't have had that, response if I hadn't already gone through like a very, very dark spinal injury car accident situation a year earlier.
Wow. You are amazing. I love it. I'm curious, what events or opportunities do you have coming up for folks who want more of your goodness? How do they get it?
Oh, thank you. I post a lot of upcoming events on Instagram. There's some fun face reading workshops coming up where we get to learn, the maps and cartography of our faces and the stories we tell, and also how to start shifting that if we're like, gosh, I'm really done telling that story, or I want to liberate, that line, because it's inherited. That's our lineage, and that's inherited. It's not even my story, and it's showing up on my face. So that's a really fun one. what else am I doing? I'm just still talking about my book.
Yeah.
It came out.
Tell us
in
quickly about your
February,
book.
so you can order that anywhere books are sold.
Why do they want it? What's amazing about the book?
Why do they, I just feel like it's easy. It's a wonderful coffee table book because it's very visual, and you can treat it a little bit like, an angel card deck or a tarot card deck where you're just like, I'm just going to open it up to a page and see what I need to do today. Oh, forehead lift. Yeah, that feels about right. And then just do a very quick, easy exercise and see how different you felt from 3 minutes ago or 1.5 minutes ago. So it's just a fun way to learn and treat yourself and reinvent some of the things that are going on deep within your life and your emotional body and the way that you communicate and talk to yourself and talk to others. Because I think if we're really harsh with ourselves, it's almost impossible to not be harsh with another. In some form. It might come out passive aggressively, or it might come out like behind somebody's back, but if we can be so much kinder and so much gentler with ourselves, everybody thrives.
Didn't someone way smarter than me say something like, you can't love others until you love yourself? Something along those lines?
Yeah. I mean, you can't, right? Not really.
Not wholly,
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You are the coolest. I'm so glad that you're now in our little Was It Chance family, and we're going to vacation together, and we're going to come to all the embodiment retreats. And now when I see you on Instagram, I'll be like, oh, that's my friend Julie. I'm claiming it.
Yes.
No, but I just love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Sharing your,
what a gift to be with you.
Your knowledge and your journey. For me, the takeaway is, look for your new signs in really unusual ways. So, yeah. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you. And tell your doctors to stop doing everything, and you need to diversify. Get different doctors for different things.
Thank you. I know, you're so right.
No, that's my advice for you.
Shut the fuck up, Alan. Yeah. Bye, Julie. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, you too. Thank you so much.
Do we love Julie? I think we both love Julie.
We are both in love with Julie. God, this is one of the times when I wish this was a video podcast because her smile is so infectious. Yeah. And literally, she popped on while we were recording. We can see each other. We're not recording the video. And just like glowing. And it all played in and made total sense by the end of it. Right, what we wrapped with was like, you can't love others unless you love yourself. And she's done so much of that work that it just is like pouring out through the microphone across the internet and fell into our laps.
Yeah. She's radiant inside and out. And what I just love so much is her mission here, her purpose in this work is to help people find their own radiance, to do this work for themselves, to heal themselves because they can, because she knows they can, because she did it for herself.
God, she's been through some shit, literally.
You were obsessed with poop this whole interview.
There's so many poop puns that you can pull out of getting hit by a car in a porta potty. I have the mind of a 14-year-old boy, so it's dirty jokes and poop.
Yeah. No, she is light and love and everything delightful. Seriously, I want to do all that facial stuff. And I'm glad she said there's no wrong way to do it, because I've been watching her videos and I'll watch them. They're like 30 to 60 seconds. I'll watch them over and over again, like trying to do it right because I'm really afraid I'm going to mess it up. And I appreciate her telling me that I can't make a mistake, that it's going to be okay, and that movement is good. It feels like as a woman in society, that is a freedom message. Just do it. You can't mess it up. And also, you're allowed to touch your face, and it's not going to make you wrinkly. It's going to make you healthy. Like all of that. Like that's not the shit that they tell us when we're growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I'm going to start doing these things and trying to mitigate my wrinkles that I'm getting. It's interesting too. She was like, why do Bojangles' story. She's like, why does it have to do with age? I'm like, I don't know. That's just what we're taught.
That's right. And she's on a mission to change that. It's so cool. She's so cool. I had a lot of fun. I hope ever. I know Alan did. I hope you guys listening had a lot of fun.
Slip into our DMs on the IGs, Was It Chance, and in the Gmails at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we want to hear. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you're up to. If you like the show, if you like any of our shows, we would love it. It would mean the world if you would go to your favorite podcast listening app and subscribe, follow, like, rate, review. Tell us what you think. Share it with your friends. It really means a lot, and it helps us grow, and it helps us connect with other people. We thank you. You've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seal.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.